Hello, in this video we see marginal rate of substitution. MRS refers to the rate at which commodities can be substituted with each other so that total satisfaction of the consumer remains the same. For example, if a consumer buys apples and bananas, marginal rate of substitution of apples and bananas will be number of units of A and B. The consumer is willing to sacrifice a unit of a commodity for an additional unit of another commodity. Here for apple, he sacrifices bananas. So, marginal rate of substitution of apple and banana is equal to units of bananas willing to sacrifice by units of apples willing to gain. It can be simplified as change in units of bananas divided by change in units of apple, because the combination is made by adjusting the units of bananas and apples. So in the tabular column you can see the different combinations P, Q, R, S, T. So in P combination you find 1 apple and 15 bananas. Then in the combination Q is adding up one more apple, that is 2 apples, and giving up 5 bananas, so 2 and 10. Then in R combination, one more apple is added, now 3 apples, and 4 more bananas are given up, so now 6, 3 and 6. Then S combination, you find 4 apples and 3 bananas. In T combination, 5 apples and 1 bananas. So in the last column you can see MRS of apple and banana. You see we have taken the formula change B divided by change in number of apples. So you find from Q combination onwards you find 5B is to 1A, 4B is to 1A, 3B is to 1A, 2B is to 1A. So you find how many bananas are given up to add one more apple. Now you see the diagram. Here x-axis represents apples and y-axis represents bananas. P, Q, R, S, T are the points at which various combinations are made. So when consumer moves from P to Q, he sacrifices 5 bananas for 1 apple. So 5 is to 1. Then from Q to R, 4 is to 1. In combination T, the sacrifice falls to 2 bananas for 1 apple. In other words, the MRS of apples for bananas is diminishing. So here you find in the diagram, you find each point is marked with a combination. And this is indifference curve. And the formula is written here, units of bananas willing to sacrifice divided by units of apples willing to gain, otherwise change in banana, units of banana divided by change in units of apple. See why? So the indifference curve is falling down. Why or diminishing? Why MRS diminishes? Because the law of diminishing marginal utility. So in this example, combination P has only 1 apple, and therefore apple is relatively more important than bananas. Due to this, the consumer is willing to give up more bananas for an additional apple. But as he consumes more and more apples, his marginal utility from apples keeps on declining. So as a result, he is willing to give up less and less bananas for each additional apple. So initially you find 5 apples are given, then 4 apples, then 3 you find. So you find since the marginal utility is decreasing, so the number of bananas given up is also decreasing. So this is the MRS between the goods consumed by the MRS and the goods consumed by the consumer. That there are assumptions of indifference curve. The assumptions are there are 2 commodities and the money is fixed and money is spent only on 2 goods. The price is constant. The consumer has not reached the point of saturation, so he prefers more combination of both the commodities, and he always tries to move to a higher indifference curve to get higher and higher satisfaction. Consumer can rank his preferences because it is ordinal approach on the basis of satisfaction it derives from each combination of goods. In indifference curve analysis assumes diminishing marginal rate of substitution. So due to this, an indifference curve is convex to the origin, and consumer is assumed to behave in a rational manner. He aims to maximize his total satisfaction. Now, what are the properties of indifference curve? They are always convex to the origin, which we have seen in other examples and other diagrams. Then indifference curve slopes downwards. So consumer comes more of one good, he must consume less of the other goods. It happens because if the consumer decides to have more units of one good, he will have to reduce the number of units of another good. So the total satisfaction remains the same. Higher indifference curves present higher levels of satisfaction. So you have got different indifferent curves. So point A on IC1 and point B on IC2 based on monotonic preference. Next, indifference curves can never intersect each other. As 2 indifferent curves cannot represent the same level of satisfaction, they cannot intersect each other. It means only one indifference curve will pass through a given point on an indifference map. So satisfaction from point A and from B on IC1, that is 1, the first indifference curve will be the same. Similarly, points A and C. This can be explained with a diagram. Let us follow the diagram in the next video.